Okay, guys, welcome to Science Day. We're going to finish up on ecosystems here, and this is where we left off yesterday. It says, what limits population growth? So the first thing is the limited resources. Population of a species depends on resources such as food and water. A limiting factor is something that stops the population from growing or spreading out. Limiting factors can be things animals need, such as water, food, and space. Limiting factors can also be competition, predation, illness in humans. Without limiting factors, populations would keep getting larger. Okay, another thing that limits population is competition. It says competition is a struggle among living things to use the same resources in an ecosystem. Sometimes the competition between members of the same species. Plants, for example, might compete for space to grow. There's also a competition between different species. Owls and hawks might compete for the same prey. Another limiting factor is ecosystem balancing. Limiting factors control the number of organisms the ecosystem can support. The number is called the carrying capacity. An ecosystem is in balance when the carrying capacity is reached for all its species. Another limiting factor is predators. When a predator catches and eats a prey, predation is taking place. For example, many wolves eat deer. When the prey population of deer grows, wolves have plenty to eat. The wolf population grows and the deer population goes down. Now, if the wolf's main food resources diminish, the wolf population gets smaller too. With fewer predator wolves, the deer population begins to grow. Then the predator-prey cycle repeats. Predator and prey species can live together this way for a long time. The population number cycles from high to low to high, naturally controlling the population. Okay. Another thing that limits is disease. A disease is something that stops an organism's body from working. It's an important limiting factor because it can stop population growth. Disease can affect animal populations weakened by overcrowding and lack of food and water. Plant population can also suffer from disease. Dutch elm disease killed most elm trees in the United States between the 30s and the 70s. Another limiting thing is invasive species. And invasive species are plants or animals that are not native to an ecosystem. When these organisms enter a balanced ecosystem, they can cause many problems because they have no natural enemies. Their population grow quickly. They also use up resources, food, water, and space. They can destroy habitats and disrupt the food chain. So an invasive species might be like a plant that maybe is native to like Asia. It's brought into the United States, somehow it gets in the wild, and since it's not native to North America, it basically starts growing, and there's like no predators for it, and it overtakes some of the native species that is in like North America or the United States. Also, there are sometimes it can happen in lakes. You know, we have obviously boats coming from Asia that come into maybe like the Pacific Ocean or even the Atlantic Ocean. Then they come into St. Lawrence Seaway into the Great Lakes. So maybe a boat from Asia is bringing, let's say, for example, cars to Detroit or something. And it gets like barnacles or something on the bottom of its boat. So when it comes from Asia to like the United States, then it gets into like waterways, the United States. Sometimes those species basically they grow in water, but they're not native here. So those species get in like some of the lakes, and the fish and whatever have never seen that species. There's no predator for it. So it kind of grows and overtakes some of the natural things. So that's really what an invasive species would be. Another thing, it would be extinction. Most of the species that ever lived on Earth are now extinct. Extinction is the complete disappearance of a species. Extinction happens when an ecosystem changes. A food source might be lost, predators might increase, or disease might appear. Many species become naturally extinct, but humans have brought invasive species to places and caused native species to become extinct. The most significant way humans cause extinction is by destroying habitat and using up the natural resources. So this can happen, sometimes it's happening in Africa now, when humans are hunting animals out of extinction. So it gets to a population gets so small where they can't reproduce, then eventually they become extinct. Like people are like, for example, if like lions or something, people like big game hunters or rhinos hunt them down till there's only 100 left and they naturally die out. And then the rhinos are basically, basically they have animals they eat. So if the like rhino becomes extinct or the lion, then other populations start to grow and it throws everything out of balance. Um, the other one is rescuing species. It says many people now work to stop species from becoming extinct. The United States laws protect animals that are close to extinction. Captive breeding is one way help animals close to extinction. During captive breeding, animals live and reproduce in controlled habitats and plenty of resources. Captive breeding helps a population of a species get larger, then the species is placed back in the wild. Captive breeding saved the California condor, picture below, from extinction. So what they would do when that species gets whatever below 100, what they did is they would take male and female condors, put them in like a sanctuary and let them breed. And then, so if you brought like a male and a female and they had babies, you let those babies grow up, they have more babies, and eventually you're able to get enough condors, you can release them back in the wild. Sometimes now to another species that's becoming extinct, I didn't mention, some whales. In Japan, they hunt whales for lots of different reasons. So eventually, if you keep hunting the whale, eventually they become extinct. But rescuing species is something a lot of people do with birds. Okay. Okay, so basically, if you look up here, we went to the top here. There's two things that limit population growth. You have limited resource and competition, and you have ecosystem balance and predators. And we talked about kind of limited resource right here, competition, ecosystem balance. So what this thing does at the end, it's just asking you to put some notes. You certainly don't have to do that, but these are just different things we talked about that causes extinction of species. Okay, and then right here, this is just like a flow chart. And this just would have you put what we just did up top into this kind of flow chart right here. And then if you look, once again, the answers are all right down here. So that's going to be it for ecosystems, you guys. You can certainly go back and reread these. I will post this in Google Classroom today. And this is going to be the last science class that we do until the New Year's. We'll be back January 4th, but you can certainly, if you want to go back to when we started, it's been, I think, since March. I think we've covered just about everything in science. It's going to be on the test. So you can certainly go back and look at old units if you've got some time over break. If not, don't worry about it. But we'll be back January 4th. If you have any questions about anything science or anything, feel free to send me a remind text or email me. I'll be in the office a couple days next week and a couple days the following week. So if you send me an email, I'll be able to get back to you. I just want to wish all of you happy holidays, and I will see you guys. I hate to say it, but next year. Have wonderful holidays, you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.